Thank you for joining us again on ASTR, the video magazine brought to you by the General Conference Office of Archives, Statistics and Research. We are dedicated to bringing together the Adventist Church's past and present in order to inspire for the future. In this end-of-year episode, first I share events from This Week in Adventist History. Then Dr. Dragoslava Santrak, managing editor of the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists, tells another inspiring story from the ASTR, this time of one of the first converts in the Solomon Islands of the South Pacific. Next, Elizabeth Henry, our digital records manager, provides some guidance on how to most efficiently use the suite of archives websites that we maintain. Then Galina Stelle, research and evaluation manager, shares research findings about the happiness of Seventh-day Adventist church members. Finally, Maggie Naira, the editor of the Seventh-day Adventist Yearbook, shares about the statistics that you can find in the yearbook. We hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. On December 27, 1885, William Healy and his wife Clara disembarked in Honolulu, Hawaii, then an independent kingdom. You see William and Clara here in this photograph. They had been sent by the General Conference after two colporteurs, Abram LaRue and Henry Scott, had stirred up interest in Hawaii with their sales of Adventist literature starting in 1884. On January 1885, less than 3 weeks after William and Clara arrived, William started his first evangelistic campaign in a 50-foot tent. You see the tent here in this photograph, with William and Clara at the front, along with Abram LaRue, who is in the broad-brimmed hat. By May, Healy had founded a company of 9 baptized Seventh-day Adventists. On December 28, in 1973, a group of 50 Adventist historians met in San Francisco and founded the Association of Seventh-day Adventist Historians. The scholars were in San Francisco for the annual conference of the American Historical Association, or AHA, but 12 months earlier, at the 1972 AHA conference, a smaller group of 16 Adventists had agreed in principle to found a Society of Adventist Historians. The result was the meeting in 1973, which elected Don McAdams president and Delma Ross secretary. The Association of Seventh-day Adventist Historians met annually for a decade or so, then became moribund, then was refounded, and since 1995 has held a conference every 3 years. Most recently, it met in April 2023, earlier this year, at Southern Adventist University. On December 29, 1886, in the city of Auckland, New Zealand, a young American Adventist missionary, Arthur G. Daniels, who you see here, began the first public evangelistic Adventist series in the island country. By May 1887, a Sabbath school of 78 members had been organized, and in October, 67 church members were organized in Auckland, just the second Adventist local church in New Zealand. The members soon constructed the first Adventist church building in the country, the first to be built in the Southern Hemisphere for use as a Seventh-day Adventist church. And 2 years and 361 days later, on December 25, Christmas Day 1889, a new Seventh-day Adventist church building was dedicated in the town of Napier, New Zealand. This was one outcome of an evangelistic series conducted in Napier by Arthur Daniels, working with Robert Hare, the first New Zealander ordained as an Adventist minister. Hare and Daniels began their series in a big tent on October 29, 1888. The end result was that a church of 28 members was established, who dedicated their building on Christmas Day, 1889. That was This Week in Seventh-day Adventist History.
Today's story from the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists, the ASTR, tells the remarkable story of Kata Ragoso, an early Adventist convert from the Solomon Islands. You can read the rest of the story on the ASTR website at encyclopedia.adventist.org. Of all the clans in the Solomon Islands, the Marovo Lagoon tribesmen were once considered to be the most warlike and cannibalistic. In 1902, the Marovo chief Tatagu led a fishing expedition. He disregarded the prevalent devil fear among the islanders and did not affix to his canoe a vine or string. The string was supposed to appease the devil and bring a good catch. After 3 fruitless days, the tribesmen were about to rebel when Tatagu spied a large school of fish. Returning home in triumph, Tatagu learned that a son had been born to him. Following a local custom of naming children after the most important current event, Tatagu called his baby Kataragoso, meaning no devil strings. In his early years, Kataragoso saw his people worshipping their ancestor spirits. He also saw his father frequently leading warfare and head hunting raids. The warriors put the heads of their defeated enemies in the skull house as a sign of power and victory. While Kataragoso was growing up, traders came to the Solomon Islands. They brought cloth, steel axes, and bright trinkets. Young Ragoso witnessed many people being enticed into the holds of the ships with pretty beads and trinkets and then taken away as slave laborers. When Kataragoso was about 12, a small white boat, the Advent Herald, came into Marovo Lagoon. As the islanders would discover soon, the people on that boat were different. They did not come to take and steal, but to give and bless. When the boat dropped its anchor, Ragoso's cousin Pana was playing on the beach with some other boys. Captain Griffiths Jones came ashore and asked for Chief Tatagu, so Pana took him to where the chief was tending his garden about 3 miles away. Jones requested the land on which to build a school, and Chief Tatagu eventually agreed. Ragoso was one of the first students to attend the school. Subsequently, he accepted Christianity and was one of the first Solomon Islanders to be baptized. Ragoso learned to speak English. While assisting several missionaries, he observed their leadership methods and adapted them to his cultural setting. Here Ragoso is pictured with missionary John House. On May 18, 1935, Ragoso and his cousin Pana were ordained to pastoral ministry. In this photo, you can see Ragoso and Pana with pastors Piper and Gilliard after the ordination ceremony. The next year, 1936, Ragoso attended the 43rd General Conference session in San Francisco, California. While in the United States, he had planned to speak in the Marovo language and be translated by Norman Ferris. At the beginning of the session, however, the missionary Ferris fell ill. The General Conference leader suggested that Ragoso make his best effort to speak in English for his presentations. He was hesitant, but after praying about it, agreed to try. Those who heard him viewed it as a modern miracle, the bestowing upon this humble, faithful servant of heaven the gift of tongues. During World War II, all expatriate personnel, returned to their homelands, and Ragoso was left in charge of the Seventh-day Adventist work in the Solomon Islands. He led his people to build storehouses in the bush in which to hide the mission equipment. They also camouflaged the mission boats so they could not be seen from airplanes. Then Ragoso posted watchmen to watch for planes or boats being attacked and going down. When these watchmen reported an incident, Ragoso sent his men to find and rescue survivors. They took the survivors to military outposts where they radioed for a rescue plane. Ragoso and his men rescued 27 American pilots and saved 187 soldiers from Australia and New Zealand whose warship had been torpedoed. How wondrous the work of Christ in the heart of this man, raised in a headhunting culture, to lead him to organize missions of mercy to rescue foreigners. To read more about Ragoso and other Adventist workers and missionaries in the Solomon Islands and worldwide, please visit the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists at encyclopedia.adventist.org. That's encyclopedia.adventist.org.
The main Adventist Archives website, adventistarchives.org, has many resources free and available for you to use. Today, we are focusing on the Using Our Archives and Library Resources section. To navigate to this section, open the main ASTR website, again, that's adventistarchives.org, and hover over the fourth tab, Scholarship and Research. A drop-down menu will open and you will see the following options: Human Subject Research Resources, Historical Research Resources, Historical Theological Resources, Using Our Archives and Library Resources, and Archives Publications. Each of these sections have a variety of useful material that you can access and peruse at any time. Click on Using Our Archives and Library Resources. You will see a landing page with several different options. Here is a brief overview of these sections. Up first is Visiting the Adventist Archives. In this section, people can find out how in-person research visits work at the Adventist Archives. The information here includes how to prepare for a visit, how to set up a research visit, and how to determine your next steps after a visit, or in the unfortunate case that an in-person visit is presently not possible. Then there is a link to our online archives, documents.adventistarchives.org. The development of the Seventh-day Adventist Church can be traced through the church's records, which include legal instruments, minutes, reference files, reports, correspondence, publications, recordings, film, video and audio tapes, and photographs. The online archives marks the beginning of an effort to place some of the archives and libraries' most referenced materials online and make them easily accessible to those seeking to use them. Yet, even though the online archives has 1.75 million pages of content, only a fraction of the minutes, reference files, correspondence, reports, publications, recordings, photographs, and other audiovisual materials held in the archives and library have been digitized and made available to everyone through our online archives. So, next comes a link to our catalog, which is intended to provide a broad overview of what can be found in our vaults and on our shelves, and allow researchers to get an idea of what we have beyond what is on the online archives, especially as they prepare for a visit to the archives and library. After that comes the section on ASTR finding aids. Now, you may be wondering, what is a finding aid? They are guides to a specific collections of enduring value within the General Conference archives and the Reebok Memorial Library, containing descriptions, typically consisting of contextual and structural information about the collection. This information can be at the collection, folder or item level. These finding aids are posted as the collections are processed and the aids are created, so this section will be regularly updated with new finding aids. We have two types of collections in this section: personal collections and manuscript collections. Personal collections, which belong to the General Conference archives, may include correspondence, photographs, artifacts, or other records created by someone working in or for a department, office, corporation, or service of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists and came to the archives via the Record Center or through later donations. Presently, we have 2 completed finding aids on the website, with a 3rd soon to come. Manuscript collections belong to the Reebok Memorial Library as part of its special collections, and they may include correspondence, photographs, manuscripts, artifacts, and other personal records typically donated to the special collections by individuals or entities. Many of these collections are smaller than the archive's personal collections. We presently have 7 completed finding aids on the website, with more to come in the future. Whether it's part of the General Conference archives or the Reebok Memorial Library, each finding aid is viewable in the browser and downloadable for your convenience. After the finding aid section comes the last section, citing materials. In this section, we have our recommended citation style guide available for people wanting to thoroughly and appropriately cite materials from the General Conference archives and Reebok Memorial Library. After all, one of the first principles of both records management and historical research is that if one can't find it, it's as good as lost. What that means is that records managers and archivists label boxes and keep track of where material is stored, and historians and other researchers cite their sources in such a way that others who come after them can also find those materials. As there are some unique file types within our holdings, we thought it would be useful to see our suggested citation formats for those files. You'll find that in the Citation Style Guide. As you can tell from this brief dive into a single section of AdventistArchives.org, our main website has a plethora of resources for anyone seeking to access and use material from the Adventist archives. So, take a moment to visit the website today. Go to AdventistArchives.org.
Welcome to Adventist Research. Have you ever wondered if Adventists are happy and grateful people? The 2017-18 Global Church Member Survey asked these questions. A vast majority of respondents, 88%, reported that they were happy to one extent or another, with 44% being very happy and 45% of them rather happy. A very few, less than 2%, admitted that they were not happy at all. It is a significant finding regarding Seventh-day Adventists around the world. While the scores of happiness in most divisions clustered between 87 and 91%, in 2 divisions, the Northern Asia Pacific and North American divisions, the combined scores on very happy and rather happy went up to 93%. 2 other divisions showed the highest percentage of those who reported being very happy. The Southern Asia Pacific division, with more than half, 57% members being very happy, followed closely by the West Central Africa division, with 54% saying they considered themselves very happy people. The same survey asked respondents if they had more often a sense of gratitude during the past year. A vast majority, 83%, shared that this was true for them to one degree or another, with 57% saying that it was true for them a great deal. Only about 1 in 8 respondents, 12%, were neutral, and a small percentage disclosed they did not feel a sense of gratitude during the last year. Different studies have shown that a sense of gratitude contributes much to our state of happiness. Being grateful for small and big things and giving thanks makes us happier. Many factors can impact one's emotions and feelings of happiness, but coming to the end of the year, do you count your blessings? And do you keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who is the only source of true happiness, joy, peace, and hope? Visit www.adventistresearch.info website for more information on findings from this and new 2022-2023 Global Church Member Survey and other global research projects.
Welcome to a new segment from the ASTR Data Collection and Publication team. In this episode, we will briefly touch on the statistics published in the yearbook and how we collect and calculate those. In the latest 2023 yearbook, you can find mid-year 2021 world statistics in the areas of membership and employees, mission work, education, food industries, health ministries, humanitarian work, media centers, publishing work, and tithe and offerings. These statistics are provided by the editor of the annual statistical report. In addition, statistics on the number of primary schools in each division as of the end of 2021 can be found at the end of the Educational Institutions section in the current yearbook. And lastly, statistics gathered from the annual statistical report, such as the number of countries, ordained ministers, churches, companies, church membership population, and population per member ratio, both inside and outside the 1040 window, can be found in the Global Mission Table 3 section in the yearbook. A map depicting the countries and areas of the world which comprise the 1040 window can be found in this same section of the yearbook. The organizational data name changes in the yearbook directly affect entity names listed in the annual statistical report, just as the statistical information in the yearbook comes directly from the annual statistical report. Both documents need to be as consistent and accurate as possible to showcase the information gathered from our worldwide church presence. For more information on world statistics of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, go to www.adventiststatistics.org. That's adventiststatistics.org. And to explore and find more information on the Adventist Yearbook, visit www.adventistyearbook.org. That's adventistyearbook.org.
At this season of the year, when we feel gratitude for the first advent of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we in the Office of Archives, Statistics and Research feel particularly grateful to all of you who have watched ASTR now for a full calendar year. Thank you for joining us in this journey. If you have enjoyed episode 25 of ASTR, please like and share, and consider following us on social media. We are active on Facebook, on X, which used to be Twitter, and on Instagram. And please accept the best wishes of all of us in the Office of Archives, Statistics and Research for a blessed Christmas. Join us again in the new year. God bless.